Let's talk about the return of the displaced. There are some pictures that didn't make prime time. Lines of displaced Palestinians, thousands, walking back to Gaza City after months of being forced out. That's not a parade. That's a pilgrimage through trauma. These are the same people who were bombed, starved, and silenced. Now walking through ruins, carrying their children, their bags, and whatever is left of their lives. And yet, there's something unbreakable about it, because despite everything, they are returning. That's the part that terrifies Israel. Not rockets, not Hamas, but resilience. Because how do you defeat people who have nothing left to lose, but still choose to rebuild? Here are some peacekeepers. Enter Turkey. President Erdogan announced that Turkey will monitor the ceasefire. Basically, he's saying, we'll make sure Israel doesn't cheat again. I think that's bold, and someone has to do it. Because Israel's entire ceasefire history reads like a bad dating record. Promises made, promises broken, block numbers, repeat. Erdogan's move means Turkey is stepping into a role the West has completely abandoned. And that is of a moral referee. And here's a shocker. The UK just made a chilling announcement. British citizens who serve in the Israeli Defense Forces can now be tried for war crimes back home. And that's huge. For the first time, Western nations are admitting maybe this wasn't a clean war after all. Now let's talk optics. Israel spent decades selling itself as the only democracy in the Middle East. But now, the footage coming out of Gaza, the crumbled buildings, the mass graves, the dead children, has flipped that image upside down. And you can't airbrush war crimes. You can't just bomb an entire population and post on Instagram with hashtags pray for peace, ceasefire mood. Even in countries that traditionally back Israel, like Jordan, people are celebrating Palestine's survival. Because this moment, as fragile as it is, feels like a moral turning point. It's not about who won the war, it's about who still has humanity left. So, what happens now? Gaza rebuilds again. Palestinians return again. And the world watches again. But something is different this time. This time, the world saw everything. Every bomb, every hospital hit, every child pulled from the rubble, live-streamed, documented, archived. This was the 1948. This was the 1967. This was 2025. And the entire planet had a front row seat. So even if Israel still controls half of Gaza, it's lost control of the narrative. And in modern warfare, that's a real battleground. Because once the story changes, policy follows. And once policy changes, power shifts. That's why this withdrawal isn't a peace deal. It's a pause before the next headline, the next strike, the next speech about self-defense. Look, I get it. This is complicated. The conflict's decades old. The politics are messy, and every side has blood on its hands. But at some point, we have to call it what it is. This isn't about religion. It's not about defense. It's about domination. And domination always collapses, not because of bombs, but because of conscience. History doesn't remember who dropped the most missiles. It remembers who stood on the right side of morality.